The world keeps getting louder, faster, and more demanding. But the INFJ doesn't operate that way. As one of the most introspective and emotionally deep personality types, the INFJ often feels out of sync with modern life. This disconnect becomes even harder when the world around them keeps shifting, more noise, more pressure, more surface-level interaction. That's why 2020 needs to be different. For the INFJ to thrive in the year ahead, it's not about doing more or keeping up. It's about coming back to who they are. That means protecting their energy, trusting their inner vision, and building a life that works with their nature, not against it. The more the INFJ tries to live like everyone else, the more exhausted they become. The more they live in alignment with who they are, the more powerful and peaceful they feel. Many INFJs have spent the last few years in survival mode. They've been dealing with emotional burnout, career confusion, and feeling disconnected from others. Some have been quietly growing and healing, while others have felt stuck and unseen. But either way, 2025 brings an opportunity for a reset, a chance to live with intention instead of reaction. This isn't about changing who they are. It's about embracing what makes them different and using it as a strength. INFJs don't need to compete with the noise of the world. Their value lies in their ability to reflect, understand, connect, and imagine something better. But to do that, they need structure, space, and strategy. In this video, we're going to break down 6 simple but powerful tips made just for the INFJ in 2025. These are not empty ideas or unrealistic goals. They're small, intentional changes that can make a big difference. Whether you're an INFJ looking to reset your energy, refocus your purpose, or just feel more at peace in daily life, these tips will help. Tip number 1. Prioritize quiet recovery and recharge. INFJs need quiet time like the body needs sleep. It's not optional. It's how they reset their mind, clear emotional weight, and return to their natural clarity. Without enough calm space, INFJs begin to feel foggy, tense, and drained. They might not notice it right away, but it builds. And once it builds too high, they crash, mentally, emotionally, or physically. This isn't just about being introverted. All introverts need alone time, but for the INFJ, it's more specific. They don't just need to be alone. They need time to process. Every conversation, every emotion, every situation they go through gets filed and sorted inside their mind. If they don't have time to reflect, it all piles up. In 2025, this means being more intentional about their space. INFJs need quiet environments that support calm thinking. This could be as simple as a quiet bedroom, a peaceful morning routine, or turning off devices in the evening. These small changes make a big difference in how grounded they feel. They also need time between activities. Jumping from one task or social event to another creates pressure. Even a short 10-minute reset between things can help. A quiet walk. A few deep breaths. Music without lyrics. Time to just sit. These aren't luxury habits. For the INFJ, they're a lifeline. This year, INFJs should stop feeling guilty for needing that space. The world often pushes people to always be doing something. But INFJs are wired for reflection, not non-stop action. The more they try to keep pace with everyone else, the more disconnected they become from their natural strengths. Quiet recovery isn't just about rest. It's also where they get their best ideas. It's where they connect dots, notice patterns, and understand themselves better. It's where their deep insight lives. Without that time, they lose contact with what makes them powerful. It's important that they build these moments into their schedule, not wait until they're burnt out. That means saying no to things, protecting certain hours, and designing their days around energy, not just time. When they do this, they stop reacting and start leading their own life again. They also need to stop apologizing for how they recharge. Some people don't understand the INFJ's need for stillness. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's different. In 2025, INFJs should take back their space and stop trying to justify it. Creating time for quiet isn't a retreat from life. It's the way INFJs prepare to live it fully. Tip number 2, practice boundaries with emotional energy. INFJs are emotional sponges. They pick up on what others feel, pain, stress, sadness, even when it's not said out loud. This gift makes them incredibly caring and supportive, but it also puts them at risk for burnout. Without strong boundaries, INFJs carry too much of what doesn't belong to them. In 2020, they need to protect their emotional space. That starts with learning to say no, not just to tasks, but to emotional demands. INFJs often feel responsible for how others feel. They try to fix moods, smooth conflict, or hold the emotional weight for people who won't carry it themselves. That has to stop. INFJs must learn to separate empathy from responsibility. Just because they feel someone's sadness doesn't mean they have to take it on. Just because they understand someone's pain doesn't mean they have to solve it. They can care without absorbing. They can listen without becoming a container. This also means stepping away from people who constantly drain them. Emotional takers often seek out INFJs because they give so freely. But if those relationships are one-sided, they slowly destroy the INFJ's emotional balance. It's not selfish to protect their peace. It's survival. They also need to stop over-explaining their decisions. INFJs tend to give long reasons when they say no. They don't want to hurt feelings. But this just invites pushback. Sometimes a simple, respectful no is enough. They don't need to justify self-care. Technology is another place where emotional energy leaks. Constant texts, messages, or exposure to heavy online content can overwhelm the INFJ system. In 2025, they should create limits, log off earlier, mute conversations, and take digital breaks. Their brain needs space to breathe. Another important step is checking in with themselves daily. INFJs often go days without realizing they've taken on too much. A simple pause each evening, asking, "What emotions did I carry today that weren't mine?" can be powerful. Once they notice it, they can let it go. Journaling helps here too. Writing things down allows the INFJ to sort out what's theirs and what isn't. It gives them emotional distance, clarity, and relief. When they write, they return to their own voice instead of echoing the moods of everyone around them. Above all, INFJs must remember that boundaries are a form of love, not just for others, but for themselves. They're not shutting people out. They're making sure their heart stays whole. And from that place, they can love, help, and support people without losing themselves in the process. Tip number 3. Use writing or creativity to translate insight into action. INFJs spend a lot of time in their minds. They're always noticing, reflecting, and imagining. But sometimes those insights stay locked inside. In 2025, one of the most powerful things an INFJ can do is learn to translate those inner thoughts into something visible, something they can act on or share. Writing is one of the best tools for this. Not for performance or perfection, but for clarity. When INFJs write, they begin to understand their own thoughts in a new way. What felt vague becomes clear. What felt heavy becomes lighter. Writing gives structure to intuition. It takes all the swirling thoughts and turns them into something they can work with. This doesn't mean they have to be professional writers. Journaling, note-taking, even talking into a voice recorder can help. The goal is to move insight from the mind to the real world. Once it's written, it becomes easier to sort, reflect on, and use in daily life. Creativity is another tool. Art, music, design, or any form of expression helps the INFJ make sense of what they feel. It also gives them a safe place to express emotions they can't always put into words. They don't need to share it with anyone. The act of creating is what brings healing and direction. When INFJs keep their insights locked inside, it can lead to frustration. They see problems in the world, gaps in relationships, or potential for growth, but they don't always know how to act on it. Writing and creative work help them build that bridge between insight and action. It's also a way to fight the freeze that INFJs sometimes feel. When overwhelmed by ideas, they can get stuck. They see so many angles, so many possibilities, that they stop moving altogether. Writing helps break the fog. One idea on paper becomes a starting point. From there, they can build momentum. In 2025, INFJ should schedule time to write. Even 10 minutes a day can shift their energy. It's not about producing something big. It's about creating a steady rhythm where their thoughts can land. This space becomes a form of grounding, a place to return to when the world feels too loud. They can also set a simple goal. Each week, write down one insight and one step to apply it. That might be a new boundary, a conversation they need to have, or a creative project to begin. When insight leads to action, the INFJ begins to feel aligned. Not just aware, but empowered. And this year is not just about knowing what to do. It's about doing something with what they know. Writing and creativity turn quiet wisdom into real change. Tip number 4. Focus on small, sustainable goals over big leaps. NFJs often dream big. They see long-term visions, ideal futures, and deep purpose. But that big picture thinking can become overwhelming. The gap between where they are and where they want to be feels massive. When they don't know where to start, they freeze. That's why in 2025, INFJs need to shift their focus from huge changes to small, steady steps. A sustainable goal is something they can do regularly without pressure or burnout. It's something they can repeat, not just once in a burst of energy, but again and again until it becomes part of who they are. These small efforts create real progress, even if it's slow. Instead of planning to write a whole book, they can start with 1 page a day. Instead of trying to overhaul their entire life, they can change one habit a week. These simple moves build trust in themselves. They start to see that progress doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. INFJs also need to rethink what success looks like. The world celebrates fast, flashy results, but INFJs thrive in depth, not speed. They need space to reflect, process, and build something that feels right. That takes time, and that's okay. Breaking big goals into pieces also helps with motivation. When something feels too big, INFJs tend to wait for the right time. But that time rarely comes. Small goals remove that pressure. If they commit to just one small action a day, momentum builds naturally. They should also allow their goals to evolve. INFJs grow quickly inside. What they want this month might shift next month. And that's not failure. It's part of their design. Keeping goals flexible allows room for growth without guilt or shame. It also helps to write down wins. INFJs often forget how far they've come. By tracking small victories, they start to see their own progress. That boosts confidence and reminds them that every step counts, even the quiet ones. Another important piece is letting go of comparison. The INFJ path is unique. It doesn't look like anyone else's. Their growth may not be loud, visible, or fast, but it's real. They don't need to keep up with others. They just need to move forward in a way that feels true. In 2025, INFJs should choose one area of life, health, creativity, career, or relationships, and set a goal so small it almost feels too easy. Then stick with it. That one action will create ripple effects. And over time, those ripples become real change. Big visions matter, but it's the small steps that make them happen. Tip number 5. Link your ideals to service, not escapism. NFJs are idealists at heart. They imagine a better world, deeper love, stronger purpose, and more honest connections. These ideals guide them, inspire them, and shape their view of life. But without action, ideals can become escape. In 2025, INFJs need to move their vision into service. It's easy for INFJs to live in their minds. Their imagination is rich, their values are clear, and they often prefer ideas over messy reality. But when ideals stay in the head too long, they become frustrating. They feel the weight of what should be, but see no change around them. This gap leads to sadness, restlessness, or disappointment. That's why they need to take small steps that bring their values into the real world. If they believe in kindness, they can practice it daily, through words, choices, or time. If they believe in justice, they can support causes that reflect it. If they dream of healing, they can be a safe space for others. Service doesn't mean sacrifice. It means using who they are to make something better, even in small ways. A kind conversation, a thoughtful message, a shared idea. These things count. They turn inner truth into outer action. The INFJ doesn't need to change the world all at once. They just need to connect their inner life to their outer choices. When they do that, they feel aligned. The stress of not doing enough fades. The guilt of not living your purpose begins to lift. Because now, they're actually doing something real with what they believe. This also protects them from the trap of perfectionism. INFJs often wait until everything feels just right before they start. But that perfect moment rarely comes. And while they wait, their values become dreams instead of direction. Service shifts that. It says, start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. It also makes their life feel more connected. INFJs want meaning. When they give from their values, they feel that meaning. And they receive it in return, from connection, feedback, or simply knowing they showed up as themselves. This year, INFJs should choose one core value and ask, how can I show this in action today? It doesn't need to be big, just real. Just something that moves the needle from idea to impact. When INFJs link their ideals to service, they stop escaping into thoughts and start living into truth. Tip number 6. Cultivate supportive, deep relationships. INFJs don't want a crowd. They want connection. Real connection. They aren't interested in surface-level friendships, fast conversations, or keeping up appearances. What they crave is depth, trust, and emotional safety. But the truth is, those kinds of relationships don't happen by accident. In 2025, INFJs need to be intentional about building and protecting the few relationships that truly nourish them. This starts with honesty. INFJs often hold back their needs because they don't want to burden others. They stay quiet, even when they're overwhelmed. They listen more than they speak. But over time, this leads to imbalance. People assume they're fine, even when they're not. That's why INFJs need to start naming their needs clearly and calmly. They might say, I need space after social events, or it's hard for me when you cancel plans without notice. These aren't complaints. They're real needs. And when INFJs start expressing them, they stop feeling invisible in their closest relationships. Supportive relationships also mean being around people who respect their energy. INFJs need space to recharge. They don't always want to talk. They need quiet. The right people understand that. They don't take it personally. They give space without pulling away. Those are the people INFJs need more of in 2025. It's also important for INFJs to stop giving energy to relationships that feel fake, forced, or draining. They may feel guilty for stepping away, but they shouldn't. Protecting their emotional health is not selfish. It's smart. If someone constantly disrespects their boundaries, ignores their values, or drains their energy, it's time to let go. But good relationships require effort too. INFJs sometimes forget to reach out. They isolate when they're stressed. This can make others feel shut out. In 2025, INFJs can work on gently staying connected even in small ways. A short message, a kind check-in, a reminder that they care. Building deeper relationships also means letting people in. INFJs are naturally private. They open up slowly. But when they do let people into their inner world, the connection becomes powerful. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's a bridge. And it's what transforms good relationships into great ones. Lastly, INFJs should give themselves grace. They won't get every relationship right. Some people will misunderstand them. Some connections won't last. That's okay. What matters most is that they build a circle that feels like home, even if it's small. In 2025, the goal isn't to be more social. It's to be more supported. And that comes from choosing quality over quantity, honesty over silence, and depth over convenience. The INFJ doesn't need to become someone new in 2025. They just need to return to who they already are and give that person what they've always needed: peace, purpose, and protection. These 6 tips aren't rules. They're reminders. Reminders that it's okay to move slowly. It's okay to feel deeply. It's okay to choose quiet over chaos, meaning over trends, and depth over noise. 225 doesn't need to be perfect, but it can be powerful. And it starts with one small choice, one quiet step, one honest shift. Start with the tip that speaks the loudest to you and make it real. This is your year to live in alignment with who you truly are.